Uh, Good evening, everyone. Of course, we all we appreciate this opportunity of really for the first international open source workshop, and I hope it's going to be really the start of another stage in our life, actually here in this part of the world. I didn't realize the color actually until I saw it in here. It looks like a sign for a grave, so I'm sorry if it's not. Yeah. Okay. لازم شوف. الصوت مو واضح. ايوه كويس كده. We're going to talk about open source in libraries and why libraries. As a lot of people say, okay, some people told me, why you care about libraries? Does anybody go to library anymore? In fact, with Google and also with Amazon, less and less chances for people to go to libraries. Another person said, why you care about libraries in this part of the world? Because though we are called Iqra, Ummat Iqra, and nobody Yaqra to start with, so who cares? So, but in fact, I think its library and open source are co-mate. And in fact, as we're going to see, actually, with some of the foundings and convincing points that they go together very, very closely. First, for those who don't know what's going on with library, what do they do in libraries? I thought just to have a quick glimpse what kind of transaction that goes on library. And if we see actually the library has such a wonderful mix of all kind of transaction that you could expect in any business. If you look at acquisition, we see invoicing, ordering, claiming. If you look at content, you'll find the cataloging and the online public access and searching mechanism. If you're looking for circulation, where the movement of books, you find also all kind of ingredients and all of kind of details. This is what libraries do. Actually, this is what's going on in libraries, and of course, the public catalog is going to be the upfront what people see from the outside. Quickly, some of the technologies that we in libraries get used to it probably will look like it's acronyms or not really understood, but these are common words that integrated library system and OpenURL, federated searching, inter-library loan. I thought we just give a quick glimpse, and the last trend is the ERM, or the electronic resource management. Also in formatting and protocols. This also, by the way, this is really emphasize the fact that libraries are driven by protocols and formats, and everything is in the open. It's very, very much open as we go. And in fact, libraries have contributed to the whole world for so many, or driven a lot of initiative into the standards for formats and protocols. The last of which is the FRBR, or the function requirement for bibliographic records. And this is a trend that now a lot of rich internet applications found it to be the basis to utilize, to help to bring in, harvest all kind of metadata from all over the organization and put it into one standard format that adds to it so many live trend. Like instead of just metadata, static metadata, you'll find that they spin out of that things like expression, like work, like manifest, like and the data. And that's really where the library are driven to lend itself more of the internet age. And of course, the MARC is the most famous format advised by Library of Congress. Also libraries, if you're not familiar with library, here we'll see how scattered and how diverse and how segmented are the major players on libraries. And that's as small of a market as it is, and so many vendors. In fact, that in spite of the fact that there are so many standards, you still see there's no single vendor that is dominating. And at the same time, all of these are, by the way, in top, you see are all closed commercial software. except in the bottom one you see companies like Replime, and they're from 2007 when you start to see companies that penetrated in the open source arena for the library, and that's what we're going to be focusing a lot on during this presentation. So why library? I think libraries and open source have in common so many things that no other discipline in the business can have. As we're going to go in more detail on this, but libraries are built with free redistribution in mind. Libraries are built with the concept of no discrimination, neither against person or groups or fields or what have you. So library is, in the sense, really what drives the culture and the concept of open source. So in conclusion, to tell you the truth, libraries should be the first one, and ethically the one that should embrace and push open source, because that's what that tally very much with the concept of the library. And also that drove me why I want to talk about libraries and open source. I like this statement actually from Microsoft. Microsoft about 2 weeks ago, Bob Maglia said there is no question that the world runs on software. This is scary, and if Microsoft controls my word, I better do something about it. I better have some decision on my destiny. When they say that just look around you, look at everything, look at all the devices we use, the system we interact. Developers are the ones who make it happen. So if Microsoft believe that's what it is, developers are really what drives the whole world. And if I don't have much to say in the software that drives my world, there's something wrong. So definitely, that drives me actually to say we should have some say in our destiny, in our world, for that matter. So, like any other sector, how they really understand, we're going to look how the libraries, from my own personal experience, when I face with people trying to push the concept of open source in libraries, how do they think of open source? I guess everywhere you go, everybody will, as David touched on the security issue, everybody say, isn't it insecure? Or somebody say, how can it be good if it's free? As simple as that. I saw this question so many times actually. And of course people say, we don't have anybody technically enough to help us, so we cannot push for the open source. As everybody really touched on it from yesterday and today, the actual definition, what is an open source? I guess everybody reference to the same place with the open source initiative, but it's an ecosystem of developers and customers, and that really leads us to say the concept of the peer review, and we will see a real example in a library what peer review really had made, the difference and the transparency. I guess we touched a lot on this, so we're not gonna be go in details, but I thought there is a point here to emphasize on the free software. I know some software in the library, they are free to have, but they are not open source. And if you, especially in Jordan, from my experience, Winisis is very popular there, and it's supposedly free. Anybody can obtain it, but actually it's not an open source, so there is no chance to improve it and develop it and even support it, but from single vendors. So I thought I emphasized this. So free does not mean free of cost. It means free as in freedom. We want free as in libraries, and that's what we're looking for, the open source concept. Here is what is open source software. I thought we touched on this, the definition, the comparison between proprietary type of software and the open source software. Again, all of these concepts are nothing new. We had seen it during yesterday and today. But I want to emphasize in one thing, in the concept of closed commercial software. The modification is per the company priorities. And why I say this, especially here, we in this part of the world, being reseller and distributors and support company for closed commercial software. From my own experience, I have been working the last 15 years actually with so many software vendors, and we always face the dilemma. Sorry, we are not ready for your territory. Sorry, it's going to be in 2-3 years time, we're going to look at it. And just you can imagine the frustration